Hello. I wanted to come and talk to the community today. Some very important issues that are going on in our community, and particularly Seattle, Washington, is what I want to address today. Um, Last week, I think 6 people in 3 days were killed because of gang activity and gang violence. And I had many community members calling me asking me for help in what I plan to do about these issues here. And I was being told from so many different sources that this is something different in Seattle that we have not seen before, the escalation of violence in this particular situation. The weapons that are on the street, the high-powered automatic weapons that are on the streets, and that there's a green light given to these people that are in this war against each other. And what I would do, community members were afraid and frightened, and so the first thing that I did was call the mayor, Jenny Durkin, and I called the chief of police, Carmen Best, and I asked for them to sit down with me and have a meeting. I went to that meeting, and others came with me. Dom Davis, Willard Jimerson was supposed to be there, but he was at one of those funerals. Dom had left early one of those funerals of individuals that were killed. And I challenged them with a question. If these activities were happening in an affluent white community, what would you do? Because I believe that affluent white communities are valued. And so if this activity was going on, they would shut it down immediately. Now, I want to explain to you guys two things, and I want you to listen very carefully to me. Listen very careful to me as I explain the difference in how I explained it to them and what I asked them to do for our community about this situation that has been going on for years, not only here, but all over this country, and it seems that nobody has a remedy for this particular situation. First of all, I wanted to let them know that the black and brown community, like every community, is not sanctioning lawlessness. We want peace for our children. We want our children to be able to play outside. We also want our old folks to be able to walk the community and feel safe, and working people to be able to go to work and come home and provide for their families, that we want the same thing that any other community want. And I don't want them to think because these activities are going on predominantly in black and brown communities that somehow our communities are sanctioning the lawlessness and the violence, because we're not. And then I expressed to them that, again, if this was going on in a white affluent community, what would be the response? And the response would be to deal with it. And this is what I want you to listen to. Not deal with it by over-policing, but deal with it by protecting the innocent. Because when law enforcement goes into a white community, they are under the impression that the majority of people in that community are innocent. And so they go into that community if a situation was happening from a select few that was creating danger for the innocent. They would go in there, and their first priority would be to protect the innocent, right? But if you go into a community and you have taken on this idea that a small percentages of our community that are doing these killings, and you use them as a means to judge a whole community based upon the actions of a few, then you're not going to go in there to protect the innocent. You're going to go in there with the assumption that these are lawless people, right? And I want you to know that the majority of people in black and brown communities are innocent. I didn't say perfect, because there's no perfect community, but I said innocent of the behavior that is going on in the community as far as these killings and gang violence and so on, right? So I challenged them by saying, I need you to value the black community the same way that you would value a white affluent community, by taking on the idea that the majority of the people in the community are innocent. So the attitude of going in there would be different, because you're not going there with the idea that everybody is lawless, right? You're going in there to protect the innocents. And if I could title what I'm saying to you, I would title it as Operation Protect the Innocent, right? And they listened to me. And one thing that I'm excited or happy about or pleased about is whenever I have called them about something that was serious, they have never denied meeting. The mayor hasn't, and the chief of police has never. And with the immediacy of my call, it was like the next day that we sat down and had a meeting, because I believe that they are concerned for the community, right? Whatever meetings they had, whatever they had, they dropped it and they said, come, and we talked. And they listened. We need to be involved in policing and politics. Community voices need to be there. Because without community voices and explaining what I explained to them, then our communities feel like you're over-policing us because you believe we are the bad guys, right? Whether you believe it or not, that's what the community feels, right? And I explained to them the difference. So tomorrow, we're going to have a major press conference at the police department, the corporate police department downtown. Well, we were discussing some things that we feel we need to do unconventionally to address these issues that are going on in our community that are making the innocent feel harmed and afraid to be in our own communities. There's something that we must do. We cannot allow these situations to go on as if our community is not outraged by the lawlessness going on in our own communities. We want our grandmothers to be able to walk the street in freedom. We want our children to play outside or at parks without the threat of feeling that somebody's going to come by and a person that is from an opposing gang is in a park and the opposing gang sees them, use a high-powered weapon and shoots, and somebody innocent gets shot. We are in 2020 and we need to do something different, and we will. And I'm stepping up along with other community members to make sure we do something different for 2020. And that difference is community get involved, being involved. I remember when I was in San Francisco and Oakland back in the 90s, and community wasn't involved. And the city sent 500 DEA agents and FBI agents down to the Oakland area to shut it down. And I just don't want anything like that to happen. And things like that happen when the community is looked at as lawless and not innocent, and community voices are not involved, right? Where you can partner. Well, community members were calling me because they know that we partnered with law enforcement in getting the first police accountability law in the country for Washington State. And we need to continue, right? We need to continue making that partnership so there can be an understanding. A lot of the problem is because of the lack of understanding. A lot of law enforcement has been encouraged to know us criminally and not culturally, right? And my challenge to law enforcement in the city is to view us as you would view an affluent white community, where you understand and believe that the majority of the people in the community are innocent. And we do not sanction lawlessness in our communities. So we're not worried about over-policing. The only time we worry about over-policing if you come to our communities with the idea that most people are lawless there. We want you to view us as the innocent, and I want you and encourage them to protect the innocent. And I want to speak to some of the brothers involved in these activities, because I know you would say that, nobody helps us and there's nothing there for us. But then I reject that. I reject that. Because I know Community Passageways has programs. I know the Urban League has programs. I know Africatown has things and programs. I know Credible Messengers has programs. Not this time. I went to the mayor last year and told her that I wanted to do conversations with the streets, where we brought black professionals and leaders from all over the country to engage our community. I went to the mayor with that request, and she said yes, and they funded that. They also funded Africatown and all these. So I don't want you to believe that there's nothing out here for you to transition, because there's people out here working on the front lines for you. And these things are free to the community. Free. I hope to launch the second part of Conversations with the Streets, where we will have curriculums this go about, where we will bring in black leaders and professionals all over the country and create some curriculums. One of those will be a curriculum on education with our partnership with Stillman HBCU. One of them will be a curriculum on real estate and the music industry. And this will be free. All these programs out there are for you, because this mayor understands that there's a particular need in our community, and she knows that people that are closest to the problem are closer to the solution. So there are organizations out here that are giving you a pathway to change behavior. Because if you are creating an unsafe environment for the children and for our grandmothers and mothers and working people, then you make yourself be opposed to the community and the safety of the community. As much as you think you are a part, you oppose the innocent and the safety of the communities. And that has to change. And I want you to know, you don't have an excuse that there's nothing out there for you. If you do not know that these things are available to you, they are available. But there is no way that we can continue this behavior in 2020 on. There is something that we need to do and we must do to protect the innocents. This is all what this is about, is protecting the innocent. And the majority of the people in our community are innocent to the behaviors that are going on that cost 6 people their lives in 3 days. And I hear more is coming. So we're going to have a big press conference tomorrow, downtown Seattle, at the corporate police headquarters, because we're going to do something different, right? And I just wanted you to be aware of the difference between protecting the innocents and being over police. It is a thought process. Remember, the majority of the people in our communities are innocent, just like affluent white communities. And when you go, if a situation happens, law enforcement goes into this community to protect the innocent. Over policing only comes if you have an idea that the majority of the people are lawless. The majority of the people in black and brown communities are innocent. And I expect you to protect and value our communities as you would a white community. Right? And I am so grateful that the chief of police, Carmen Best, and the mayor, Jenny Durkin, took that meeting, took it seriously, because they were very, very concerned about what community feels, our community. And they're eager to continue to do something for the special needs of our community. This is what this conversation was before. So that tomorrow when you see the press conference, you see all these things on the news, you understand the direction we want to come at this thing. Because we can't sit around and keep doing nothing. We will address it. We will attack it. And we most of all will protect the innocent in our community, our babies, our grandmothers, our working people, the majority of the people in the community that are innocent. We will make sure they are protected and valued. Thank you very much. All right.